Welcome back. It's puzzle time with Sudoku Sleuth, and we have yet another phenomenal puzzle for you today. You can see from the picture here that it's about shooting or shot through the dot, which is actually the name of the puzzle that we're going to take a look at in a second. Um, Certainly not making any comments on politics of her owning guns. That's not what we're here to do. We're here to solve puzzles and mysteries, which is what we're going to get on right away. So, today's puzzle is Shot Through the Dot by DoozerConstruction. And it seems to have relatively straightforward rules that we have essentially featured, all of them at the channel, on the channel at some point. So we've got normal Sudoku rules apply. So that means place the digits 1 through 9 in each empty cell, really in every row, every column, and obviously every 3 by 3 box. The digits along each arrow must sum to the digit in the circled cell. We've got quite a few arrows. For example, these 3 cells will have to sum up to something that is actually placed in this single cell circle. And they're all single cell circles, which is helpful to know. We have a black dot between cells, indicates cell values with a 2-to-1 ratio. We've got quite a few of them, as you can see, peppered almost throughout the grid today. A white dot between cells indicates cells with consecutive values. Not all dots are shown. I might be blind here, but I'm not seeing any white dots at all. And the fact that there is no negative constraints, I'm not sure why that statement is there. Well, that's all the rules. So with these relatively straightforward rules, I guess if you're a regular viewer of the channel, you've seen all of them before. Arrow sum rules, kropki dots, or at least black kropki dots really, and just normal Sudoku rules. So with those handful of rules, and obviously the geometric construction we have ahead of us, not really sure why I see it's about shooting through dots, but I guess, either way you've got arrows that are somehow shooting through black dots, that may be why. That's all we need to be able to solve a grid with 0 digits in it. If you want to play along, link will be in the description down below. And with that said, let's restart the clock and see how we get on. So, there's a lot going on in box 5 in particular, which is where I'm tempted to start, if I'm honest. What I'm going to do is just use a bit of coloring. I don't want to do a lot of pencil marking. So you can see this cell here is composed of 3 different digits because they're all in the same row. This cell here is also composed of 3 different digits because they're all in the same column. Same can be said here. And the thing is, all of these cells, we can categorically say, and I'm going to just color them for a second, are from 6, 7, 8, or 9 or higher. And that's simply because 1, 2, 3 is the absolute minimum you can put in 3 cells when they're all different, and that will get you to 6. And you can see that the remaining ones are actually, reasonably well. Let's have a think about this. So this is 2 cells, so that's at least 3. This is 2, almost 3 cells. So, the one thing that I can say is 1 and 2 are up here. You couldn't put 2 in any of these. Let's say it's 2, it would require a double 1 in there. And in fact, the fact that this is 3 cells in the same box, kind of tempted to say that this is actually reasonably high. It's probably going to be 5 or higher. It's just this cell here is throwing me off a bit. So I'll probably come back and think about this in a second. Now we've got, the only reason I'm, essentially saying 3 could be somewhere in these circles is this one. Because I can easily see, even with the black kropki dot constraints, that we can put 1 and 2 on here without any issues, and we get to 3. So I'm not sure I can eliminate 3 and put it up here to create a 1, 2, 3 run. But I am going to just quickly continue just to highlight everything that is 6, 7, 8, or 9. I will remove the colors at some point and just really pencil mark it correctly, but I think in the meantime, this is helpful. So we've got this pattern recurring multiple times. A black kropki dot with a cell, a black kropki, really domino, with a cell, and again, and again, and again, and again. So I kind of want to think about these a little bit. Now, we'll stick with my guns. I'm going to just use this as an example and say that 1, 2, 3 is the minimum. Nothing stops us from using 1, 2 again here, although this would have to be different. But the other thing that I'm just sort of thinking about is what are the other possibilities on these black rock dots? For example, here is one here. If we use 1 and 2, the next setup is 3, 6. Because 4, 8 would be too big. That would get us to 12. So 3, 6 would get us to 9. It wouldn't be 3. Which is quite interesting. Let me just finish that thought. If I try and reverse this and put 1, 2 in here, that's 3, 6. That's at least another digit. Doesn't matter what it is. It's 4 as a minimum. But that breaks the puzzle. So I'm tempted to say these can't be 1, 2, therefore this cannot be 3. Could this be... No, even if that's 1, 2, 1, that's still 4, so that's not 3. Even if that's 1, 2, that has to be different. That's at least a 3 plus something. So none of these are 3. I am going to actually change this to 1, 2, or 3. And therefore, I am going to change this to 1, 2, 4, or 6. Essentially, the black kropki dot across from this cell. I'm really actually trying to think this through. So I think, I mean, let's forget the fact that row 5 has this interaction. Let's maybe use row 1 instead, where it doesn't have the same constraints. So I think 1, 2 is fine. We've proven that that's clearly an absolutely appropriate set to put on there. Now I think 2, 4 is also fine because that's 6 plus some digit, which could be as low as 1. That gets us to 7. And at least on these, yeah, at least on these arrows, where there are 3 cells, so forgetting this one here in row 5, that's it. We can't use 3, 6. 3, 6 would be the next one up, which would include a 9 plus a 1, and that's already at 10. That breaks the puzzle. So I think we can definitively say this is not 3, 6. That's nonsense. And this is from 1, 2, and 4. Same can be said in here. Same can be said in there. Kind of tempted to think about this in a second, but I'll leave it for now. And what I'm also tempted to say is 2 has to be amongst them, because either a 1, 2 pair or a 2, 4 pair. In any case, 2 has to be in there, which removes the 2 from here. And that means 1, 2 is off, 2, 4 is off, 4, 8 doesn't work. This has got to be a 3, 6. And that's the 9. Lovely logic. Right, I did say I want to think about this a little bit, and I certainly do. Now, this can no longer be 3, 6 because of this cell. So 1, 2, 2, 4 is still kind of the same kind of constraint, because again, 4, 8 is too much, and a 3, 6 would leave with no value available for this cell. So this is, in fact, let me just tidy this up, pardon me, a 1, 2, 4 setup again. And because we need to have a 2 in here, that's not a 2. That's 1 or 4. That's the 2, at least in this setup. Now, if this is 2, 4, we get to 6. And we know now 9 is gone. So 2, 4 leaves us with an absolute maximum of a 1 as well. We could do 2. This could be the 2, 4, and the 2 again, and then we end up with 8. So 7 or 9 is a possibility. Now, the other possibility would be that this is a 1-2 setup. Remember, 3 is not available in this box. We can't put 3 on here because that would be 3-6. So 1-2, no 3s. 4 will be the next available option. We're back at 7. And I assume 5 is an option. Sorry, not 9, 8. So that's essentially all the options are available for this setup, I'm going to say. This could be 1-2 with a 4 and 5. This could be 2-4, which would be a 6 with 1 or 2 to get us to 7 or 8. Yep, that looks like all the options. Sorry, I need to pick up a phone call. I'll be right back with you all. Let me just pause here a second. All right, sorry about that. And please excuse the interruption. Let's see if we can get back into it. Although I'm a little bit suspicious, we will get interrupted once again, as I'm expecting a plumber to actually help with something today. Let's take a look. Where were we? So it's 104. Right, let's just pencil in some numbers. So this could be 2, 4, 3. This could be 4. This could still be a 1. So this could be 1, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Wow, 5 or 6. That wasn't very helpful. That's a lot of options. Yeah, that's a lot of options. I'm almost tempted to delete it. Right, 1, 2, 3 in here. Yeah, 1, 2, 1, 2. Sorry, I want to finish that thought I had earlier. If you remember, I colored all of these as they are 6, 7, 8, or 9. Because there are 3 cells that are pointing to them. Somehow I have now 5 digits. This is extremely concerning, that need to be from the digits 6, 7, 8, and 9, which are only 4 digits. So I've made a mistake somewhere in my deductions. I'm absolutely certain these are from 6, 7, 8, and 9. That's a given. We have this as a 9. I'll come back to that in a second. I think the question to answer now is, could this be smaller than 7 and 8? And I think I said the answer to that was yes. I don't know why I pencil marked this as 7 and 8. Because this could be one interruption I mentioned before. All right. Maybe third time is the charm. Let's continue with the puzzle. Right. If memory serves, I was basically saying that this cannot be now from 6, 7, 8, and 9. And therefore, this has to be 1, 2. If this is 1, 2. This is 1, 2. If this is a 4, we're back to 6, 7, 8, and 9. So this is not 4 or 5. This is 1, 2. So that's 3. It was either 4 or 5. So I'm going to put 4 or 5 in here. And that looks correct now to me. Now, what it does do, here is some of the beauty now of this puzzle. So because none of these are 9 anymore, they have to have a 1. Now, if there has to be a 1 and there has to be a 2, that's clearly a 1, 2 setup. And same can be said over here. Comfortable this is correct. So it was either 1, 2 or 2, 4, forcing the 2. 1 has to be somewhere on those 3. 1 has to be somewhere on those 3. So maybe that wasn't quite right. Let me just do that again. 1 has to be on those 3. And because 1 has to be on these 3, this can't be the 1. This cannot be the 1. That's correct. Because if it's a 1 here, how are we going to put 1 on there? We'll end up with 2, 3, 4, and we're back to having to get to a 9. Same the other way around. If that's a 1, that's 2, 3, 4. We need to get to a 9. So both of these end up being a 1, 2 pair. And now we're left with 3, 4, or 5. You can see this can't be 3 because of this 3, 6 pair. Therefore, this can't be 6. So this is 4 or 5. This is 3, 4, or 5 to get to 6, 7, or 8. Now, sort of very similar logic here in that there has to be a 1 somewhere on here. It just doesn't have to be in the box. Yeah, it can easily be either of these two cells. We also said, I'm just thinking this through, that this can't be 3, because that would require 1, 2, leaving no cells. None of these are 3. Therefore, this is not a 4. And we said this can't be a 3 because that's 3, 6, and a 1. That gets us to 10. So that's 1, 2, 3. That's 4 or 5 again. Now, this can't be a 4 because then we'd be having... So 4, obviously the secret is we'd need to have 1 and 3. What would happen to this cell now? So that's not 4. That's 5. That's 4. That forces this to be 1, 2, 1. We have digits finally at minute 13. I think I was fairly prompt at pausing. So it really is minute 13, but look at this. There are plenty of digits now. No 3 in the column means this is no longer a 6. Forcing the 6 to be in here. I think this 3, 6 was looking at it for a while, so I'm surprised it took me so long. I'm sure people will be very kind in the comments and say it's not that surprising to you. So 1, 2, yeah, that was 4, 5 to complete the row. Row 5 looks solid now. Don't know yet what this is, so I'm just gonna leave it for a moment and just think through what this could be. Now, if there is 2 and 4, we get to 6, and then we'd need to still have 1 or 2. Well, 1, actually, exactly 1, because we can't repeat 2. So if 2 is 2 and 4, we're at 6, and we'd need a 1 to get to 7. Can't repeat the 2 to get to 8. If this is 1 and 2, we could still have 4. So I'm just going to pencil mark some of these options to get to 7. And 5 is not available. This is always 7. Hang on, I meant that to be 6. And that's now 8. That's now 5. That's now 4. And this is a 1, 2, 4 setup with the 2 in here. That looks okay to me. That's not a 2. That's not a 3. That's not all helpful towards a solution necessarily, but we'll take it. This one you can see is looking at the top. That's forcing a 4. We're already at 6. So the maximum this can be now is a 3. I'm removing the 4, 5, and 6. And this means that this is limited to 7 or 9. You can see that's a 7. Therefore, that's the 9. That's a 3. That's the 1, 2, 3. This can still be 1 or 4. Yeah, 1, 2, 4. Adding up to 7. Let's just complete column 5 whilst we're at it. What can we pencil mark in here? Is it 6 and 8, I believe, to finish the column? We need 1 in box 8. You can see it's in none of these cells. It's got to be in here. We need 5, 7, and 9. 9 is in neither of these. That's a 9. That's a 5, 7 pair to finish box 8. And with that, we can probably start pencil marking box 2 as well. What do we need in here? We need 6 and 8 again. Interesting. I guess not too surprising given kind of this sort of almost... It's striped, is it? 3, 6, 8, 3, 6, 8, 1, 4, 9, 1, 4, 9. Very interesting. So 2, 5, 7. Interesting. Right, that can't be a 2, therefore this is not a 2, this is not a 2, this is the 2. This is 5 or 7, this can't be a 5, that's the 7, 7, and 5 to finish this up. Yeah, there's still quite a few options in here. So that's 6, 8, or 9. Doesn't even guarantee that we need to have a 1 necessarily on here. What about, I guess, we've completed box 2 and 8. Let's take a look at box 4 and 6. What can we do in some of these? So we need 7, 8, and 9 to finish this. That's kind of no real revelations there. We need 4, another 7, 8, and 9, and a 6. But 4 is not here. This is 6, 8, or 9. It's not a 7. And there's a 4 in here for sure. With, 6, 7, 8, or 9. I don't want to pencil mark all of that. Let's see what this is. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. We need a 5 with 2, 7, 8, and 9s. I don't think the 5 can be here. So that would be a 5. That's fine. This would force, yeah, so you remember, there's only 2 ways of getting to a 5 in 2 cells. It's 1, 4, which you can see this isn't allowed, or 2, 3. Place a 3 in here, and you'd have to duplicate 2 in the box and in the row. So 5 is not in here, which is actually also quite interesting. So let's pencil mark the options for a moment. And we've just said that I've removed the 5 from here. Now, if this is also 7, 8, and 9, you can see that we're very limited on options. It ends up being only 1, because 2 is not available. And I think 3 is too much. Yeah, 3 plus 7 is 10. So essentially, we'd remove the 9 and the 7 from here. And that would be sort of the setup. It's just, it feels immensely unlikely. The more likely option in my mind is that this would be a 5. And then we'd have a bit more breathing space. This could be 1 or 3, and that's it. In any scenario, this is only a 1 or 3. Leave the 5 in here. It's actually very restricted, surprisingly. You can see 2 is down there, just kind of normal Sudoku now. Forcing it there. The 4 is over here. Again, Sudoku with what we have. Kind of eliminating all of these. I'm just doing a little bit of that just to see what some of these arrows can do. So that's not 1. It's a minimum of 3. Can't have 4. Could be 5. Could be 6. And no higher because we've already placed 9 in the row. So this is from 5, 7, and 8. A lot of heavily restricted cells, but none of them are really the ones that are going to sort of crack this for us. We clearly are missing a bit of logic that will just continue to unravel all of this. So here is something. This 7, 8, and 9 is repeated here, telling us it's got to be on the right-hand side of box 9. But that's not 7, 8, or 9. That's not 7, 8, or 9. So I am going to color these, I don't know, red. And that's 7, 8, or 9. And the key thing is that they are all the same. I probably should lose kind of these colors now that I'm actually using some to earmark some of the cells. You can see 2 is on the arrow. Maybe this is the arrow that we should be looking at. So let's think about this. This is not a 6 because we need to have 1, 2, and 3. But this cell already sees 1, 2, and 3. So the minimum this cell can be is already at 4. Can't be a 7 either. So 4 is not exactly helpful. I'm going to say, can we even use a 4? Or, yeah, 2, 3, create a 9 would be fine. Can I even get to 8? It'll be 1, 2, and 5. Look at that. Can't use any of them. So we know, okay, let me step back a second. We know that 2 is on the arrow, as you can see. So it's forcing that there with those corner pencil marks. Now, how can I get to 8 or 9 with 2? Let's start with 8. Now, if I use a 2, I have to use a 1 because 2, 3, 4 gets us to 9. So 1 and 2 is at 3. I need a 5 to get to 8. Now C, that's not available for this cell. So this is a 9 cell. This is 9 as well. And now we need 2, 3, and 4 because we've already placed all of these. So we're already at a minimum of 4. Admittedly, this could also be 6. So this could be 1, 2, and 6, or 2, 3, and 4. Both of this would work to get us to 9. Now, these are not 9 because it's in the box. That's in the arrow. That's not 9 either. You can look at where 9 is in box 7. It's in here. Feels highly likely at this point that red is 9. And places it. No, red is not 9 either. This is 7 or 8. But we can place now the 9 in box 9. It's in here. That would require 4 or 5 if we end up using the 4, but let's leave that for now. 7 and 8. This is very restricted now. This can't be 8 or 9. So it's either 5 with a 3, 7 with a 1. Can't use 6 in here, it's already placed. Can't use 2 in here, it's in the row. Both scenarios come up to 8. Two and 3 or 2 and 5, because 8 is not available. 8 sees the 7, 8 setup. That allows us to clean that up a bit. This 5, 7 is seen by that 7. We can place this digit, which is now a 6. We still need to put a 3, 4, 5, and 8. Well, 3 and 5 are not here. So that's 4 and 8. Doesn't seem like there's any real restrictions on the remainder. That's 8. That's 9. That's not 9. That's a 5, 7. This is 4, 6. We know the order of that. That's a 4. That's a 6 because of the 6 down here. Surprisingly still available. Both options. Just completing kind of pencil marking of the box. We know that there is a 6 in here. There's 6s in there. That's got to be a 6. Now to finish this, we need a 1. Quite interesting. Because it eliminates an option for us. That's 1. Therefore, that's a 2, 3, 4, 8, 6, 8, 6. And finish this box off. That's a 5, presumably. Yeah. 1 and 4. 3. 3 has to be with a 5 to get to an 8. That's a 7. That's a 7 now. Therefore, that's a 5 to add up to 7. We've used 1, 8, 2, 7. 4, 5 is not available. This is 3, 6 pair. Don't know the order, surprisingly. That doesn't sound right. But quick glance at the grid says that's correct. That's a 9. We still need to place a 7 in here, 1 in there, and 5 in here. I guess, yeah, this will be solved this way. 6, 8, 3, 6, 6, 3, This 6, this 1, this 8. There we go. 1, 8, 1, 2, 3, 2. And we're at kind of the finishing line, really. 3 is in here, and if I've not made any mistakes, 5 to finish today's puzzle. It's a phenomenal puzzle. I mean, I immensely enjoyed it, despite the interruptions, I might add. But just, I love involved puzzles. You know, well, I immensely enjoy puzzles that tell a story and uses diagrams to help you do so. But a puzzle that almost forces you to basically bounce around all over the place to try and actually just follow those crumbs and clues to try and get to the next bit of logic that helps you sort of unravel it all. Fantastic puzzle. Really immensely enjoyed it, DoozerConstruction, and thank you for creating it and sharing it. I hope you've also enjoyed today's video. And with that said, bye for now and see you for the next one.